So last week, I had the opportunity to deliver a presentation to an audience of over 700 people at a conference in Miami. That's me over here, and here are a few more fuzzy pictures of me on stage. Now, this was the first time in my career addressing such a large crowd, so I was naturally anxious and nervous in the lead up to the event. I knew I had to do some serious preparation to come out of this on the other side with my pride and my credibility intact. In this video, I'll share with you some of the tactics that I use to prepare for and to deliver the presentation. Public speaking is often ranked as the #1 fear in the world, even more fear than death. According to a survey by the National Institute of Mental Health, 75% of people have some level of fear of public speaking. And for 15 million people in the US, this fear is so severe that it qualifies as a phobia known as glossophobia. And this is understandable since when you're up on stage delivering a speech, it becomes a performance. All eyes are on you and you're being evaluated by the audience. In this case, the spotlight effect is very real. So having major anxiety myself, here's how I prepared. Know your audience. I knew that my audience was made up of mostly retail field leaders, trainers, and makeup artists from around the world, with half of them not being native English speakers. So the presentation needed to be on the lighter side, fun and inspiring, not too stuffy, delivered in more of a conversational tone without a lot of business language and technical jargons. Now, if I was delivering a presentation to a bunch of investors, the content and the talk track would have been built very differently. So my advice to you is to find out who the audience is, whether they are students, bankers, creative professionals, and cater the presentation materials, the stories, and the style and tone of your talk to fit accordingly. Know your message. Remember, at the core of every presentation is the content and the message we're delivering. What is the purpose of the overall presentation? What do we want our audience to walk away with? Do we want them to walk away with a new idea or an insight, a change in mind, inspired to take action? If your presentation is aided by something like a PowerPoint or a keynote, what is the purpose of each slide? For me, it's much easier to remember my script and my talk track if I'm clear on the goal of the presentation and the key messages I want to deliver on each slide. And to build on my first point about knowing your audience, it's important that the key messages are scripted and delivered in a way that resonates with the specific audience that you're addressing. Add stories. During a table read of the presentation script, one of the executives gave the feedback, "Don't read it, live it." While my script flowed well, in my opinion, and had many interesting facts, it was impersonal. I was just conveying lots of information one slide after another. I think it's helpful to sprinkle a story or two within the presentation that help illustrate the points you want to make. People love good stories. If the story is from your own personal experience, it's even better. This not only makes the presentation more engaging and relatable, but it also helps you deliver the information in a more natural way because they're your stories. Memorize. Okay, so at the end of the day, you do have to memorize your talk track. Even a seasoned speaker memorized at least a bulleted outline. Here's my process for memorizing my script. I make a table with 2 columns. In the first column, I write the main heading for each section. If you're using a PowerPoint, this could be the slide title. Then underneath it, I write out the key points. In the second column, I write the entire talk track or the script, word for word. I do this with pen and paper. I don't type this out. The act of writing forces me to slow down, and it actually helps me absorb the words as I write them. Rehearse. I rehearse my script. This is key. First, I just read the script out loud multiple times. Then I try to do it from memory. I work on it one slide or section at a time. As I do this, I almost always come across some sentence or phrase that trips me up. When I write, I tend to want to maintain grammatical structure, but when I read it out loud, it doesn't always sound natural. If this happens, I go back and fix my script to something that flows more naturally and easier to say. Once I have most of the script memorized, I record myself. I try to visually place myself where I'll be delivering the presentation. And if I'll be standing, I'll stand, and if I'll be sitting, I'll sit as I record. This way, I can review my body language and my facial expression as I talk. I try to make sure I don't come across too stiff and make sure I don't look awkward. I also voice record myself so that I can play it back while I'm doing my chores or on my commute. This also helps me seal the talk track into my memory. Presentation. When presenting, I make sure to wear comfortable attire, but err on the side of dressing on the more formal and conservative side. I want to remove as much stress and anxiety as possible. I don't want to be thinking about whether I'm appropriately dressed for the occasion and wondering if people are judging me by what I'm wearing. Also, I avoid caffeinated drinks like coffee and soda. I know I'll already be nervous and excited, so I don't want any stimulants that will increase my heartbeat. When I'm in front of an audience, I pick a few friendly faces to focus on as I deliver my presentation and kind of cycle my gaze around. I basically pretend that I'm explaining something to a few of my close friends. I also try to put the focus on the information or the message. Shifting the spotlight off from me and redirecting it to the message helps reduce some of the pressure. Post-presentation. The natural high and the feeling of exhilaration that comes after delivering a presentation to a large audience is simply amazing. It's well worth the preparation and the rehearsal. So whether you're giving a presentation to a small room of 10 people or in a town hall filled with 500 people, I hope some of my tips will help overcome some of the anxieties and help you deliver a successful presentation. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button and consider subscribing to my channel for more contents like this. Thanks.